We are here today to celebrate the extraordinary contribution to Louisiana by the people in the community working in the humanities in the state, Jerry. Scholars, storytellers, photographers, documentary filmmakers, book authors. Many of these are people who labor in obscurity throughout their professional careers, but are contributing in ways that are so dramatic that future generations are going to thrive and benefit from the work they've done. I'm Dr. Michael Sartisky. I'm the president of the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, and it is my absolute delight and pleasure to invite you to this event, our annual award event, as well as to this glorious facility, Homus House, which is owned by our immediate past chair, Kevin Kelly. So thank you all for joining us.
Excuse me, but I don't have a script here like the other speakers. I would like to simply thank the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities for the award. I would like to thank my family, my friends, my colleagues at the collection, my colleagues elsewhere. I would like to thank the administration of the collection and the board of directors of the collection, and all of them for their continued guidance, patience, and encouragement. Thank you.
Before I give my 30-second speech, I want just to point out a couple people in the audience. And by doing this, I'm going to hack off about 15 other people who I should be thanking too. But the first person that perhaps Dr. Sartisky does not know that's here, and I didn't know was going to be here, is, before I say that, I should say my first book ever was called The Rating Game in American Politics, in which I tried to rank presidents, Secretary of State, senators, Supreme Court justices, and everything else. The only thing that I didn't have in that book was a rating of mayors in the United States. And I actually did a study of that, but because there's so many mayors, I figured that not enough people would know who they were. But I think that book came out in the early 1980s. Since then, I have found out who the best mayor is in the United States, and he happens to be from Louisiana, from Tallulah, Louisiana, and that is my good friend, Mayor Eddie Beckwith, who's sitting way back there and is very modest. I do that because I place a lot of value on political leaders, and Mayor Beckwith, before he got into politics, was a command sergeant major in the Army, and I was in the Army too for much less time and is about as low as you can be. So I'm just really impressed with Mayor Beckwith. So I wanted to point him out to you, and then the person who probably should get an award for coming here to the Homus House from the farthest distance away, and it's not Shreveport, but it's actually Bangladesh, and that's Professor Zayed Hassan, who came here all the way from Bangladesh. He's a professor of English at the East-West University in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and he's at that same tower table. Okay, now for my 45-second speech. You know, when you're a young professor, many young professors have ants in their pants, and of course that fitted me too, but now I'm too old to have any of those ants left. And so you ask yourself, you know, what motivates you when you are older than dirt to get up in the morning And one of the things that pops into my head every time, if you're from the College of Liberal Arts, is you know that there's one organization outside your institution which every day of the year is working to try to help you, and most likely does not get the appreciation that they do. And of course, that's the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. That not only has expanded my program and the elements in it for virtually almost 30 years, but also has benefited teachers, of course, the humanities in general. And I thank from the bottom of my heart Dr. Sartisky for leading that organization, which of course is one of the best, if not the very best, humanities council in any state in the Union. So my time is up. I thank you for coming here, and I thank Dr. Sartisky for all the work he's done at Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. It's a real inspiration and one of the reasons why I stay in Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Greg Lambousy in his remarks alluded to the 50% attrition of the staff at the Louisiana State Museum. For the last quarter of a century, among its other contributions, the LEH has been the principal source of independent documentary film production funding. Quarter of a century. Okay? Second place is so far over the horizon, its sales are not showing. I hope Conni Castille's T. Gallo is not the last documentary film that we fund. The state appropriation, which we enjoyed for nearly 2 decades for the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, was for many years at $2 million a year. And as I'm sure many of you know, and our lovely colleagues today have testified, we have gotten a dollar's work out of a nickel and had a dramatic impact. Our state appropriation as of this year stands at 0. We weren't sitting on our hands. If you have observed our work of this last year, we are continuing to be dynamic and produce wonderful projects. Most recently, major work, a unique slant of light, the bicentennial history of art in Louisiana, cultural vistas, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This isn't vain boasting. Every 3 months, we produce a magazine, and have been for 24 years. We have now produced, we're approaching 96 issues, over 9,000 pages. No other state humanities council has produced a publication equivalent to 1 issue of Cultural Vistas. This is Louisiana, okay? Prime time you've heard about. The Teacher Institute program for professional development, of which Dr. Pederson was such an essential part, is by far the largest such program for teachers of the humanities in the United States. The funding for that, which was both state and federal, is sunsetting at the end of this year. The state funding already has, and the federal funding is sunsetting at the end of this year. These things tend to be cyclic, but they also depend on the will of the people in a democracy. And I would leave you with this thought. Legislatures in a democracy set the priorities for that culture and that state in this instance. And they measure their priorities in dollars. And the most important thing that I can urge upon you today, because I know you are people who understand and appreciate what your community would be like without institutions like ours, without institutions like the State Museum, Historic New Orleans Collection, our libraries, our universities, our documentary filmmakers, our authors. In each and every conversation you have, certainly between now and the next 3 years, okay, I urge you to take that message to your own legislators, to your newspapers, and to every community leader in your state. It should cycle back, it will cycle back, but it will require the collective effort of all of us. This is a wonderful day for me. Believe me, I restrained myself. What I could tell you about Greg, and he never put me up in a hotel. What I could tell you about Alfred, we'd be here for the rest of the weekend. These are wonderful people, and please join me one last time in thanking them all for what they have done for us. The humanities are all those things that we value. Our culture, our history, the stories we tell each other, the buildings that we have built, the buildings that we have lost, all of the cultures and languages, music and cuisines that have made Louisiana identity the unique thing that it is, even by the standards of America.
Of course, I was delighted. It was a special honor to Louisiana State University Shreveport, since this was the first time in 28 years that we've been recognized for our humanities program in the College of Liberal Arts.
What role do the humanities play in everyday life in Louisiana?
Well, they give meaning to people. I'm always surprised that retired doctors and other technical experts come back to school and oftentimes take classes in our Masters of Liberal Arts class because they've missed out on the humanities in contrast to their specialty in medicine and so forth. So it's a way of learning about what life is all about and having meaning to it. So it's something that's especially important these days since we've become so technological in our approach to life.
Louisiana has an enormous wealth of riches, ranging from rich linguistics, rich musical heritage, rich artistic, rich literary heritage, and all of these are indications of why we should support the humanities, to pass this on to the upcoming generations, to continue this incredibly rich tradition and legacy of our state.
I received the Public Humanities Programming Award from the LEH, and it was for the Festival of Words, which is a literary arts series we have in Grand Coteau with poetry readings and oral history and a little bit of music, and it's kind of a community activities.
Why is poetry so important to the humanities in Louisiana?
It's really important. I think people are drawn to poetry. We think in metaphors. We like the music of poetry and lyricism. I think it's part of our being, so it's an integral part of the humanities.
Why is it important that the state support the humanities in Louisiana?
Oh, it's crucial for so many reasons. It's crucial to education for people to get ahead, and it's crucial for the economy because everyone knows that the arts and humanities brings in tourism and it stirs the economy, and it also is really important to our quality of life.
It's important that people should support the humanities because it benefits everybody. It's not just a frill, and it's not just for the artistic community. It stimulates the whole economy. It benefits everyone. It brings people to Louisiana. It provides work. It provides economic opportunity and intellectual stimulation. And it reinforces the fact that there's a great artistic and cultural community in this state, and it's a great resource. It's a great resource that should be developed to its fullest capacity.
I think it's important to support the humanities because through the humanities we kind of get a better understanding of what it means to be human, and we can celebrate our traditions and culture together.
Without the humanities, so much stuff wouldn't be recorded and documented, so the humanities are definitely, to me, a need for the community to have somebody to continue to document the culture and the history of Louisiana. And I think without that humanities, we won't have that. So it's so important that, that they step up the plate and keep it going, because we need to be able to showcase work such as mine and other artists that's out here.
I won the Humanities Teacher of the Year for the year 2013 for Louisiana.
What do you teach your students about the humanities?
I teach them to be respectful of other people, and that we all have dreams, we all have aspirations, and to just, use their creativity to be able to bring in, their surroundings, their life around them.
Why is it important that students learn about the humanities?
Because humanities involves people. It involves history. It involves all of us.
Why is it important that the states support the humanities?
It's essential, and Louisiana is so rich in its culture, historic sites, artifacts, writers, et cetera, to not support the humanities as a whole is an unfortunate scenario, and we need more support right now. I know at the Louisiana State Museum, when I first started in the mid-90s, we had 170 employees. We're down to, 140 employees. We're down to 70 employees now. And folks are struggling to keep up projects. We have more projects now than we did at that point, and people doing more now than they have in the past, which is great. But nevertheless, funding is needed to care for the historic structures under our care, and also maintain the collections that we have at the Louisiana State Museum. And the same is true across the board with other cultural institutions in the state.
Shell's actually become a partner with the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities in an effort to increase literacy across the state. We've got numerous employees and retirees that call the state of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast region home. So we're always interested in partnerships that are going to help improve the quality of life for those in the cities and states that we operate in.
Why is it important that other businesses support the humanities?
Well, I think bottom line, the support that businesses can provide in terms of funding and helping organizations understand the priorities for growing their businesses, investing in literacy programs, programs that support the humanities are a way to help the community become sustainable for decades to come.
The hospitals may keep people alive, but the humanities give them a reason to live.
It's all about improving the quality of life and seeing cities grow and prosper, and investing in programs and organizations like the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. Shell and other companies should see as the right thing to do.
If people have questions or like more information, what should they do?
They can reach us any number of ways. Our website is a fantastic one, replete with information. Very simply, www.leh.org. And you're welcome to call us at 504-523-4352.